Okay, we are loading in users as we speak. We're just gonna give it a second for all the participants to load, and then we will get started. You can see the number climbing. Okay, looks like we're about halfway. We get for those of you that are on already, we get a participant list, so we see how many people are signed up. But that doesn't necessarily mean all that will join. So we like to keep an eye on the participants as they're loading, just so we don't start too soon. Welcome for those of you that are on board or that have joined, especially to those for the first time. Thanks to those of you that have been coming back. It's a huge compliment to us. We continue to work on improving our content. We got a firecracker for you today. My name is Cisco Kevin, for those of you that don't know me, and I am really thankful to be part of this webinar. Social media is a quite a passion of mine as well, and to find somebody that kind of leaves me in her dust was humbling, but also quite exciting, knowing that there's still so much more to learn. For those of you just joining the call or that don't know, my title is Business Resource Consultant. We have consulting teams across Canada, US, and on some other continents as well. Cisco has the largest consulting team in the industry, and so we really do hope that what you take away, the learnings from today, the notes, the questions that you have, knowing that you have resource teams pretty much in most places where you live that you can reach out to and follow up with, and we're pretty proud of that. So I'm going to keep, sorry, I'm just going to check on our participants here. Okay, people are still loading in. For those of you on the call, again, that haven't been before, we have a chat portion. If you look at the bottom of your Zoom portal, for those of you that aren't familiar with the app, you can feel free to add questions in during the session. I'm going to do my best throughout to compile, because I definitely want to give our guest speaker, Ketsia, time to get through her content, and make sure that also, unless she's left a content area, in a lot of cases what I find with these is people will ask questions and she'll get to it right after that. So I'll do my best to also paraphrase. So if you notice me waiting a little long on a question, it might just be because I know that she's going to get to the answer. That being said, when she gets to the end, especially, please, we're looking for questions, as we go, as well as the end, whatever you're familiar or comfortable with. So without further ado, I know I'm still seeing people load in, so I always hate starting too soon. Without further ado, we've got, thank you to Ketsia Colas-Leroy for joining us. The official title, Digital Social Media Expert and Digital Marketer. Just a couple notes from her bio for those of you that didn't see it in the invite for this. She is a brunch lover turned digital marketer, strategist, and content creator. I love that because it really speaks to her passion in all facets. She chose to turn her passion into a career by using her love for food and marketing. For those of you, again, I don't know, again, she doesn't talk a lot about herself, so I want to make sure that I gave her a few drops here. Shoot My Plate and Caffeinate My Life are some of her Instagram handles. She is an avid social media follower. She enjoys creating social media and crafting strategies, one KPI at a time, she put. For those of you that don't know all the Cisco acronyms, key performance indicators. She's all about results, not just creating content. She's sprinkled some of her insights into things like Moco, Alcove, to name a few. And she's also, what I really wanted to key in on, because I didn't know this stuff even existed, she's got some key digital marketing certifications like Hootsuite, social media, the Radius certification, the Google Analytics certification, and CJ Ambassador certification. That one, I don't know what that one is. She may talk about it later. But that being said, she's a strong believer in power of food and positive mindset. You'll notice that a lot today as well. And so we welcome Ketsia. Take the floor.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to my webinar. I am so happy that you are here and joining us today. And I want to present to you my 5-ingredient recipe for an effective presence on social media. My name is Ketsia, and I will be your presenter today. Social media is like cooking. If you start out with a recipe, follow it closely, use the right ingredients, and season it properly, you'll start smelling the delicious aromas. It's very important to follow every step of the recipe. Not everything looks important at first, but you will realize that every piece of this puzzle can greatly affect your social media strategy. You have to have an understanding of the principle if you want to make something good consistent. It's like when you're choosing your fruits to bake a pie. If you choose fruits that are very sweet, you will adjust the recipe and add a little less sugar. If your fruits are really bitter, then you'll adjust the recipe and add more sugar. In both cases, you'll need to know that your recipe will change according to how sweet your fruits are. Similarly, every brand on social media is different. You'll have to adapt the following steps to what you currently have in place in order to bake the best pie. So my name is Ketia. I am your coach du jour, brunch lover turned digital marketer and strategist, content creator, marketing enthusiast, and I love sweets more than salty food. All right, so let's play a quick game. We all know that there are a lot of people on social media, but what is the true potential? So how many active users are there on social media? Take a guess. All right, so it's actually 3,400,000,000 active users. That's a lot of people. All right, so let's jump right in and review the steps to this amazing recipe. So first of all, we're gonna cover your brand on social media. Then we're gonna cover setting up your account for success. We'll go over your audience, understanding how they're using the platform. And then we'll see your message, sharing who you are. We'll start a conversation with your audience and review your engagement, and then we'll add a little seasoning, so tips and tricks. So why is this recipe so important? If something is not on social media, the absence of information can lead to a mistrust of the brand, or worse, an image of the brand that you do not control. So the first thing a person will do when looking for a product or service is to do research on social media to guide them in their choice. In fact, 91% of people regularly or occasionally read online reviews, and 84% of people trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. So it's important to more and more to find a brand. It's more and more rare to find a brand without social media presence. Companies are now developing clear social strategies aligned with business goals in order to reach their audience and make sure their voices are being heard. Therefore, not being on social media means not being on the start line of a consumer's choice in the race for their attention.
Kesha, I just want to add to that. For me, the why is it important? The importance is because for those that are not on, it's not a matter anymore of whether you are or not. It's if you're defined by if you are, and now it's so with everybody being on there, how do I get noticed, right? So it's not really an option anymore of whether you are. It's how good of a job you're doing.
That's right, Kevin. So why should you be on social media? There are 5 simple reasons. First, you can build your brand awareness. You can position yourself as a leader in the industry. You can increase your leads in sale. You can start a conversation with your audience, and you can benefit from one of the cheapest form of advertisement. Are you ready for that recipe? Let's go. A clear brand identity is the foundation of a great social media strategy, which leads us to step 1. Let's get back to the basics. So what is your brand identity? What is your mission? So what do you do and why do you do it? This is your purpose. Then what is your vision? What do you want to be known for? Where do you see yourself in 10 and 20 years? Where do you want to go? Then you have your values, what you stand for. Your brand identity is what makes you instantly recognizable to your customers. It's how you present yourself when you're meeting your customers and potential customers for the first time. It's super important, and it will help you build your reputation, stand out for your competition, and project your values to attract the ideal client so you can become memorable.
And I'll just add to that, Ketsia, for those of the people on the call, those of us at Cisco and some of the larger entities, we've got a lot of familiarity with those three topics. So please, if that's not an area of comfort for you, man, can we spend some time in a business builder session or even with your marketing associate helping build that out if that's not a space that you're comfortable in?
So to help you understand the concept of brand identity, let's just look at Starbucks as brand. Their mission, so what they do and why they do it, is to inspire and nurture human spirit, one person, one cup, in one neighborhood at a time. Their vision, so in the long run, how they see themselves in 20 years, is to establish Starbucks as a premier purveyor of the finest coffee in the world while maintaining uncompromising principle while they grow. And their values, so simple: act with courage, be present, deliver their best in everything they do, and to be performance-driven. Step 2, setting up your account for success. So this is an overview of how to set up your account on Instagram and Facebook. We'll start with number 1, a profile that explains who you are. So you want to make sure that your mission is included in your profile and people know exactly why you're doing what you're doing. You want to have an attention-grabbing profile picture that is high quality and that displays properly on a mobile device. Then you want to have an account that is in business level on Instagram and that is linked to your Facebook account. This will allow you to get relevant information like data and insights to understand how your potential customers are using the platform, as well as how they're responding to your content. Then you want to make sure you have your contact info there so that if the customer or potential customer wants to continue the conversation, they know how to reach out to you. And then you want to have 9 high quality pictures. When you're looking at the pictures, you should be able to understand right away what the values are, the mission, and the vision. So you can see the cup in each different neighborhood, and you can see what the target audience is. For Facebook, first of all, I would recommend checking if you're using the right Facebook template. You should use the template that is meant for food and the restaurant industry, as it's adapted to the different needs for your business model. Then make sure, again, just like Instagram, that your contact infos are there. So you want to make sure you have your phone number there, your email address, your website, and more. You want to make sure you have high quality profile pictures and cover images that convey the same message as your brand identity. Choose the right call to action button, which is a blue button at the top of your Facebook page, again, to continue the conversation with the client. You can tell them right away what you want them to do. A call to action is an instruction to the audience designed to provoke an immediate response, usually using an imperative verb such as call now, find out more, or visit a store today. Then you can rearrange the tab to the left on the left pane and make sure that the most relevant tabs are at the top for you. And finally, make sure you get a username that matches your company name so that your consumers can easily find you on the platform. Step 3, your audience. So find your niche. What is their problem and what need do they have? Who are you talking to? How old are they? What is their revenue? Who walks into your store and who buys? This is super important because it will change the way we communicate things to them. This will also help you understand how you can help them. So the best way to find a niche, I would recommend, if you have access to Google Analytics, is to go ahead and review your data. You can also conduct surveys and create personas. Personas are characters that represent different segments in your niche. So for example, you could be talking to Julie, who's a student. She's 20. She's full-time in college, part-time at work. She doesn't have that much time, and she wants just really quick food. Versus Stephanie, who's a 30-year-old mother with 3 kids. She works full-time and she also doesn't have time to cook, but she wants a full meal with all different food groups in it. So you won't speak to Julie the same way that you speak to Stephanie. So how are they using the platform? On Instagram, it's super important because there are 3 different things that the foodies of Instagram use on the daily. A foodie like me, for example. So first things first is geolocation. Geolocation is really good because if I'm looking for a restaurant and I'm in a neighborhood that I don't know, I can easily go on Instagram and look for geolocation to find a restaurant that is near me. Then hashtags, it's a great tool for foodies out there. It's an opportunity to build a community. They can easily follow a hashtag if they find it interesting enough. And hashtags usually hide a community behind it, so it's a great way to interact with this community and have them interact with your profile too. And then you have saving images that they like. So recently Instagram added this feature, which is saving image, and it looks very similar to the Pinterest feature. So if I see an image of food that I really, really like, I might save it for future reference. And when on Sunday morning I'm looking for a restaurant for brunch, I can just refer to those pictures that I saved and look at the geolocation. On Facebook, there are 3 different things. So you have ratings, so you can review your experience at a restaurant or at a retailer. You have sharing, so people can share the content between that you have posted, so they can share it with their family and friends and show them how amazing it is. And they might also react to your content by liking. So choosing your platform is like choosing your cookware. You need to choose the right one for the right task you want to accomplish. Because boiling water in a skillet is possible, but definitely not practical. Each platform has their purpose and their audience. You need to understand where you fit to reach your audience. Here's a little example. If you have a donut, you want to share it with the world. If you go on Instagram, you might just say, here's a photo of my donut, because Instagram is a platform for visual content. And then on Facebook, you might say, I like donuts, because you want to share your opinion. On LinkedIn, it's mainly professional, so you might say, my skills include donut eating. On Twitter, it's, I'm eating a #donut. And then on YouTube, you mainly share videos. So here's a video of my donut. So those are just the main platforms. Step 4, aligning your objectives with your message. So let's take the goals we mentioned earlier. First, you need to clearly define a marketing objective for your brand on the platform. I would recommend using the SMART method. So make it a SMART goal. A SMART goal helps you prepare for an actionable plan for results. The SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This will push you further. It will give you a sense of direction and help you organize and reach your goals. Your objectives should be aligned with your brand identity, and your core message should remain consistent across all marketing channels. For example, you might want to gain more Twitter followers. So you might say, my SMART goal is gain 1,000 followers by the end of the month. Whereas for Facebook, you might want to say, gain 200 additional followers every week by launching weekly promotional campaigns on Facebook. So your brand, again, should be aligned with your brand identity. Now that we have an objective, we want to build a tactic to reach our goals. So what kind of content will convey the message in the best way? There are different types of content that can be created on social media. We have photos, captions, live streams, videos. And just to make sure to be clear when sharing your message, you should choose a niche or a small specific portion of your target market. Start with one message, one target. Use trends to be au goût du jour. Don't forget emotions and choose the right tone. Now let's talk about the importance of quality content. Don't settle for bad content as this might damage your image, especially if your brand stands for excellence and quality. Just like those two core values, your content should do the same thing. Using a blurry picture or a dark picture is not the best way to convey your message. Instead, prepare high quality content that will serve your audience and give them value.
If I can jump in there, Ketsia, for those people that are new to the webinars, we've already done a webinar on food photography and we've got more coming up. So please, we have resources. Reach out after this and we can help you with some of this stuff that Ketsia is talking about today.
Sales increase when you create a marketing message that taps into the essence of what the consumer wants to buy. That essence is the need or problem that they have and how they feel. Emotional marketing is marketing and ads that mainly use emotion to make your audience notice, remember, share, and buy. It typically taps into a specific emotion like happiness, sadness, anger, or fear to elicit a consumer's response. So those are my best practices for visual content. This is an overview, but those are the main points. So first of all, you want to make sure you have good lighting. You can include a focal point, like in the picture displayed right now. You see that the cups are the focal point. You can tell a story. So just like in the picture again, you see that there is the blueberries and the herbs. So you can feel that maybe this is a summer. It's like you're on a picnic. And also when you're creating content, just think about your grid for Instagram and your feed on Facebook.
Betsy, one of the questions came in, and I can't remember if it comes up. It just was around how often to post. Is that something we're going to cover later? I made a note of it, maybe to just talk about it at the end.
Yes, I'm going to cover that later.
You.
All right, so let's do another quick game. So hashtag food porn. That's a very popular hashtag on Instagram at the moment. So how many pictures have been tagged on Instagram with this hashtag? Can you guess? 188 million. And I have a video. Okay, the video is not working, but basically it's just to show you that on that hashtag, there are so many different pieces of content. Everybody is using the hashtag to share their experience and just show their beautiful plate of food. And this builds a community around the hashtag. Step 5, cultivating engagement. What is engagement? Engagement is building a community and relationship with your current and potential customers. Engagement means that they care, and when they care, they are building fidelity. The goal is to transform simple customers into a brand ambassador that will promote your brand for you. So to get engagement, engage back. Show some love, leave a few likes, and respond to their comment on a regular basis. Show up consistently on the platform, post frequently, depending on the platform, and then use hashtag to find and build your community. Make it easy for potential customers to find you. Give value to your audience, share a fun fact, make them laugh, build your relationship. And you could also run a contest or a giveaway. So thank your loyal friends, and fans by creating a contest or a giveaway. As for the showing up consistently on the platform, it really depends on what kind of business you have, who you are trying to reach, and how they're using the platform. So I'm going to cover that part in the content calendar a little bit later. Stay tuned. All right, so we have covered our 5-ingredient recipe, and now it's time to write your recipe. Create your social media strategy and guidelines for your business to ensure consistent and streamlined communication. Know where you're heading. Having direction will allow you to know what the plan is, why you are doing it, and what your goals are. Clarity helps build trust. If you know why you're doing things, it will be much easier for your audience to understand the message you are trying to communicate to them. Measure, report, and improve by setting KPIs. Data is everything. Once you have those objectives defined as well as your tactic, choose a KPI. A KPI is a key performance indicator, and it measures your performance against key business objectives. For example, you might have likes, impressions, shares, saves, views, lead conversions, and sales. Become even more efficient. Having this will ensure that you have a foolproof recipe for the perfect social media presence or the perfect pie. And be ready for everything and anything. Should there be an issue, everyone will know how to use the strategy.
I just want to jump in here that you kind of mentioned KPIs at the beginning, but back to the whole creating strategy efficiency. I'm going to give a shout out to all my Cisco peers and associates across the corporation. If there's an area where we can support you, man, are we good at that here? At setting goals and coaching to goals and working to goals. So yeah, you've got resources. The number is bigger than I can say, but anyways, thanks for sharing that.
So now we're gonna add a little seasoning to our recipe. So let's start by monitoring. So monitoring is understanding what is being said about you. So checking what your audience, market, and competitors are saying. First, have a designated person to monitor the platforms. Perhaps a community manager who knows what the strategy is and where to review comments and posts. Second, prepare a crisis plan. In this plan, you should include what to do in case of a crisis, for example, a negative comment, and a step-by-step action plan for dealing with a particular scenario, and who is the first responder in case of a social media 911. Finally, you can create pre-approved message to ensure that you are responsive on social media and that you are always there to respond to your clients when they have a question. All right, so now I'm going to cover using a content calendar and batching your content. So let's say you love pie, and who doesn't? And you want to have a slice of pie every night after dinner. Wouldn't it be easier to make enough pie for the rest of the week instead of having to take time every day to do that pie? Similarly, a content calendar is the best way to stay organized. Plan your marketing effort by syncing it to key events in your industry and your business. On the days where there are no events, find a way to provide value to your audience through content. Now, you might be tempted to recycle content from one platform to the other, and that's okay. Just keep in mind that you might have different audiences on different platforms. So before recycling, make sure that your content is relevant to the audience on the platform in question. If so, adapt the message or the content to them. Also, a quick note when creating visual content. When thinking about your content calendar, use the 80-20 rule. 80% of your social media posts should inform, educate, entertain your audience, while 20% should directly promote your business. Creating a balance in your content will help build trust and make your followers want to come back to your page.
I just want to throw a shout out in here. This is something that Cisco Winnipeg's been working on for a while, but I got to tell you, pretty much all the social media channels across the enterprise are flowing with this now. Cisco Canada, the Cisco in the West, East, and the US. So just hook into your local channels as well, folks. We use our social media channels as training tools. So please follow the content, use it, and try it in your own feeds.
And now it's time to schedule your content. So once you have your content calendar in place, use a tool like Buffer or Hootsuite to schedule your post. By doing this, you will show up consistently in your audience's feed, save some time by scheduling all at once, streamline and synchronize your marketing effort, create a storyline through your post, and there won't be any more "what should I post today" moments. Those are the worst. So with this, you should be good to go. For frequency of posting, I would definitely recommend you check how your audience is interacting with your content at the moment, when they are most active on the platform, and what kind of content makes them react the most. So for example, on Instagram, I have this coffee account, and I curate content. So I try to post very frequently because I know that in the morning, people want coffee. So I try to post one picture of coffee a day in the morning when they are most likely to respond, and also when they engage with the platform. Versus if you are posting content of food, you might want to post it at noon when people are hungry, and that might generate another reaction. All right, and finally, it's paid ads and sponsored posts. Paid ad and sponsored posts are the easiest way to increase the amount of people who are seeing your post on the platform. If you target a specific audience and ensure that the message is relevant to them, you will start seeing them respond to you in no time. Any budget works. Sponsored posts increase your reach. With just $2, you can increase your reach by 200 to 600 people on Instagram. That is amazing. Target the right people at the right time and in the right location. So if you know that people are hungry at noon, you might want to have an ad that is displayed around their office. Make sure your content is being seen by the people who matter to you, your customers and potential customers. And point your audience towards the next step with a clear call to action. Continue the conversation and lead them in the next step in the sales funnel. All right, so now what's cooking in 2019? Storytelling is all the rage. Storytelling is a process of using a fact to communicate something to your audience. Some stories might be factual, embellished, or improvised, but it always has a core message. Showcase your brand identity through your storytelling, and also make sure you generate an emotion when telling this story. Also, people relate to people, so show your face and show the behind the scenes. Real images are 95% more effective at generating leads than stock photo. So allow your audience to be part of something bigger. Show them sneak peeks, new projects, your employees. People have really short attention span nowadays because of mobile devices and social media. So it's super important to understand what truly captivates your audience's attention. That way you can share instantly your message and remain top of mind. So that means the first brand that comes to mind when a consumer is asked an unprompted question about a category. Data. Luckily, almost all, if not all social media platforms have a built-in feature to capture data. Make sure to capture it from the beginning or start right now. This will help you make informed decisions when it comes to social media and your strategy. Connectivity is part of our daily lives. With social media, restaurants and food retailers have a great access to and a lot of visibility. They can reach a larger potential market. We are seeing more and more apps or websites that allow consumers to share their experience through photos, videos, reviews, and comments. They can leave comments either positive or negative and thus instantly affect the reputation of a restaurant or a retailer. Think Yelp, TripAdvisor, Google, Facebook, Instagram, which are the main platforms to evaluate a business. However, retailers can benefit from these technological change. By claiming your space on social media, you will ensure that your message is being heard and that you build a strong relationship with your customer. So now that you have the recipe, you'll be able to bake the best pie ever.
That's it. One of the really great, oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to let you finish.
So I'm ready for any questions, Kevin.
Okay, sorry, I was just chomping at the bit. There's like literally, it's been like the questions started out, you know, like ones that I was like, oh, that's not a bad one. And now, wow, we're just so I don't want to miss any. So everybody, hang tight, just because I might get to what some of the ones that you're asking are before you ask it. So, impact of picture versus video, man, that's a loaded one, eh?
So video marketing is all the rage nowadays. It's the most important thing. If you're able to communicate your message through a video, people will most likely respond to it more than a picture. The reason being is very simple. It's because it's using more senses It's using your eyes and also your ears. So you do two things at the same time, and it's just a great way to communicate a message. So if you have the capability and the possibility of creating great videos, I would strongly encourage it. Just make sure that the quality is perfect.
And I want to remind everybody we're working on that coming up at an upcoming webinar, but we also have some experience as a team that we've worked with customers on. So yeah, we can help you with that. Great question though, Barbara. Next one up, maintaining your Instagram account in terms of adding or deleting pictures. Like, is there any reason to delete something unless it was like inappropriate or?
Really great question. Thank you for sending this over. So in terms of feed, I would recommend if you have an existing Instagram account, you should do an audit every year or every quarter, depending on which business. And that's when you might want to delete or even archive pictures. I would actually recommend archiving pictures more than deleting them. If you delete them, you will never be able to see the data anymore. So if you archive them, you still have that capability of seeing how it performed or why it did not perform. And yes, and the reason why you might want to archive and delete is maybe if you have a feed or if you're trying to tell a story in your feed, so storytelling, maybe that one picture or one video did not perform well or someone did not really respond to it. So sometimes it's good to archive pictures that do not belong or don't match our marketing objectives anymore.
Another good question there. Ratio between, I know you talked about the 80-20 rule earlier on, ratio between food and people. Does that just really depend on the business model or?
It really depends on the business model, but let me tell you that when there is a face in the picture, usually people will respond to it more. So that's why you want to share different kind of content. And again, it ties in with what I was saying earlier to show the behind the scenes. So you might want to show a picture of an employee sometimes, and then a picture of the newest plate of food or recipe that you're working on, the newest item, and just creating a very harmonious mix of content will make sure that your audience has different things to refer to when they're looking for content and being entertained, because at the end of the day, social media is a way to be entertained.
That was another great question. Another doozy coming up here. And man, this is a loaded one, and I'm depending on what you say, I don't know if my boss is listening on this call, or my wife for that matter. How much time does or should the average operator spend on social media each week, and what is enough?
Ooh, that's a very, very good question.
Just some thoughts. Please don't like say an actual amount of time, because some of us are pretty busy already, Katya.
Mm-hmm. So what I would say is it depends on multiple things. It depends on how many people are currently engaging with your platforms. What are your goals? What are you trying to do with the platform? What message you have to convey? And if you implement the techniques that I showed during the presentation, so using a content calendar, scheduling posts, you should be able to decrease the amount of time needed to take care of the account. And then you can dedicate most of the time to engaging with the customers. So I would recommend usually starting with a 30-minute amount of time, like a 30-minute block of just engaging as much as possible with especially right after you post a picture or a video on Instagram, for example, and on Facebook. So just making sure that you're there, you're ready to respond is a really great way to start. So if you haven't posted a picture that day, just go on the platform, check the hashtags, start liking, start commenting genuinely, and making sure that you have people know who you are. And you position yourself as a leader and someone they can turn to when they're looking for a really good restaurant or retailer.
Another question that came up early, and I can't remember if we covered this or not, but I felt like it was kind of two-pronged: posting frequency as well as amount of content. How do how do they figure that one out?
Okay, so thank you again for the question, and it all depends on, again, the audience. So what I would recommend is start with a minimum. Let's say you want to post 3 times a week, or you want to do 5 times a week. See how this performs. So you might want to do like, okay, one picture of employee, one picture of food, employee, food, employee, food, five times a week at prime times, and then revisit after a certain period of time. So with that being said, I would try to set up a SMART goal and then check your KPIs. See how they're performing. Are they reaching your targets? If they're not, you might want to post less or post more. You might want to ask in a caption, perhaps, what kind of content do you want to see? When are you active on the platform? What do you like to see? What content would you like to see?
Oh, that was well done. What was another good one here that I had? Content management tools. Lots of questions around which ones they should use. A question out to Cisco corporately. Hey, do we work with anyone that we leverage? What are your thoughts on like Hootsuite, IE, or other ones?
So as for content management tool, I've worked with Hootsuite before. It's a really, really good tool because it implements all different platforms, so you can see an overview of how your social media channels are performing and what content is going to be going out. So that way everything is streamlined. And yeah, Hootsuite is really good. I mentioned Meet Edgar and Buffer also. I also like OnlyPult. OnlyPult is my tool of choice, for Instagram. It's really great because you can just batch content in and just ensure that people are going to see things consistently from your channel.
So for those of you wondering what any of those are, Kesha, maybe I can get you to add those into the slide before we send the deck out to the people that requested at the end, and then they'll be on there. For those of you wondering what a content management tool is, it's an app basically, and one place where you can upload your content, you can schedule it. So let's say you set aside 1 day a week or an hour a week or whatever, you can post all your content for the week, schedule it in. Valentine's Day is coming up in a few weeks. You can schedule a post because we all know you're going to be smoking busy during that time and you might not have time to do that, right? So great question on that one. What about tagging in customers and those sorts of things in posts? What are your thoughts on that?
Tagging customers in posts?
Yeah.
Okay. When it comes to tagging people in posts, it depends. There's so many different reasons why you'd want to tag. But the main reason that I could think of is if you're reposting their content. So let's say I'm a customer, I go to your restaurant, I take a picture of a really good meal that I had, and I post it on my personal account, and you have your business account, you'd like to reshare the content that I created. So just make sure that you tag the person and you give credit where it's due. And that's one of the main reasons why you would tag a customer in there.
And I just want to speak to myself. I follow about 800 of our customers as an example here at Cisco Winnipeg. And because of the way that they've categorized now, I mean, I spend a considerable amount of time in a day and I sometimes miss stuff. So sometimes I like it when customers tag me in just so I see their post. So I don't know what you think of that example, but for me, when I follow a lot on my work, like for the Cisco Winnipeg one, that's another example where it brings a little bit of attention to me. So, what?
Yeah, go ahead.
An operator using Instagram for a measurable monetary return. Any thoughts on quantifying, the amount of time and potentially the spend if you're promoting ads?
The spend of your promoting ad. That's a very, very good question. You will see how it performs when you look at the insights. So as I said, if you put in $2, you might see 200 people or 600 people. But again, it's all trial and error on Instagram. So you always have to review your data to see if it's performing well. So I would recommend just checking in every week very frequently to see how it's performing so that you can invest the money in the content that reacts or provokes the most or generates the most reaction from your customers.
Thoughts on giveaways, contests, those sorts of things?
giveaways are really great. They can entice people and make them want to interact with your account even more. I think it's a really good thing to do. I wouldn't do it too frequently, because if you have a giveaway every week, then maybe there's no reason, it won't become special anymore. So you might want to do it every month or every quarter. And another great thing with giveaways is that you can even partner with another account. So double efforts and exchange content with them. And you might be able to gain a few followers, and they might gain a few of your followers. If you're collaborating with another account, just make sure that your brand values, mission, and vision are similar to the other brand. Because if it's not, it might create a clash in a consumer's mind, and it might become confusing. Oh, and the other thing is for contests and giveaways, I'm not sure how it is in the US, but I know that in Quebec, you have to be really careful, because if you have a contest that is more than $100, you have to have it registered at the
With the government, like for tax purposes? Or?
Yeah, exactly. So you want to be very mindful of how much is the price that you'll be giving, the value of the item, and yes.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to try and get two questions in one here, because one of the questions was, again, back to better times of the day or prime times in social media. So I'm trying to lump together Jackie and Ainsley's question here.
So prime time and social media is something that you'll be able to find in your data. So if you go on Instagram, you have a business account, you can go into Insights and look at your audience. You'll be able to see exactly at what time they're interacting with the platform and what days are best for you. So you want to make sure you're posting at those times, because that's when they'll interact with you. And same thing on Facebook, you'll be able to go into Facebook Analytics and review those numbers. But as per general numbers, it really depends on who you're talking to, because you have to understand how they're using the platform. For example, me, I use my Instagram a lot on Sunday mornings, because I'm starving on Sunday mornings and I want a really good brunch. So I'm always on my phone at 10 a.m. looking at content, and that's maybe the best time for you to post. So you really have to review the data.
Hey, that was awesome. The question came up about monetizing a spend. If they're going to go with a partner or find somebody that's going to help them manage their content. And I want to throw a quick little plug in, thanks to Sarah below, referring to Orderies, one of Cisco's preferred partners on this, but because we do have that available to you. You can do an online demo and webinar to see what tools are available for you. They have an a la carte menu of monthly services, which still allows you to add content, but they'll manage it for you depending on the star rating and the reviews. They'll automatically refer to that. But I just wanted to put the Cisco plug in there, and as well as for Orderies, our partners. But I wanted to get your thoughts on that, because depending on the city you're on and where you're at and what you want, I know it's very it's hard to trust, right? I know that to a lot of customers, to give that away to somebody, so how do they figure out who's the right partner and what's the right amount to spend?
The person who is going to be the best match for your business is a person who is going to understand your brand identity the best. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is that the customer understands what you're trying to say to them. So if the company that you choose to manage your platforms is not able to convey the message in the best way, then this is maybe not the best company for you. So you just want to make sure that everything is laid out properly. They have a plan of action. They have a guideline for you. They're providing you KPIs, and they're checking in with you on a regular basis.
I also just want to add to that, because I've had a lot of customers on that. Push them for ROI. Again, help them monetize for you and explain to you why that they come to that. And will there be any guarantees or ideas on return? In that, how are you going to help me grow? What are my goals? Are you going to help me grow my followers? And what if you don't? Is there a guarantee? Is there that sort of thing? So I don't know what you thought of that, Ketsia, but I like that idea as well.
Sure. But the most important thing is not the followers. I just want to stress that, because the most important thing is to reach your customers. So if you have 10,000 followers, but nobody going to your restaurant, then what's the point of having those 10,000 followers? If you're getting 1,000 likes, but nobody is calling you, there's no point. So you just want to make sure it's better to have 1,000 people that are super engaged, they're constantly coming back to your restaurant, they're interacting with you, than 10,000 people who are not reacting at all.
You're such an expert. Public or private accounts? For me, it's just between personal and business, but I just wanted to get your thoughts if there are any other reasons to have an Instagram account be public or private.
So definitely, if you are a business, if you have a personal brand, if you are a company, definitely public. People have to be able to see what the message you want to share with them, what the message is. So if you are a private account, then nobody will be able to see it. Nobody can interact with you either. So definitely go public.
Thank you. Okay, also then back to somebody just circling back to the giveaways question, best platforms to do that with, like Facebook versus Instagram versus Twitter. Any thoughts on what would be the best one for interaction on that?
The best platform for giveaways, that's a really, really good question. And it all depends on what your goal is by doing this giveaway. So if your goal is to get more followers on Instagram, then definitely go on Instagram, right? But if your goal is to have more signups and your newsletter, maybe a better platform is Facebook because you're able to post a link in your post. You can also mix and match different platforms. You might want to say, okay, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, and leave a comment, things like that. But just to be sure, before you do any giveaway, make sure to review the laws and make sure to review Facebook or Instagram policies about giveaways, because they're very, very picky about how you conduct giveaways, and there are certain things that you can and cannot do.
Hey, that was another good one. What's another one I got here? What's the best way to use Instagram stories and highlight in conjunction with the posts between the two?
Mm-hmm. So the best way to think about this is Instagram stories is something that is very short-lived. It's like a 24-hour thing. It's mostly video. You're able to do different kind of contents. You can post, you can even repost one of your posts in there. So I would go ahead and just post the behind the scenes on Instagram, on stories, sorry. Same thing for Facebook stories. You can post behind the scenes because it doesn't necessarily have to follow your storyline as much as in your feed or in your grid, because it's going to disappear. And then for highlights, you just want to make sure that it's something that your customer will want to refer to later on. So it might be, okay, different events. It might be different, or the most popular dishes. It could be meet your employees, all different things, but it should all tie into your brand identity at the end, because this is who you are. So your profile should be just like a business card.
So to stay on this topic we're on here. So a good question about doing contests or that sort of thing, and why. One of the questions that came in is, how do I know they're coming to my restaurant because of the posts and because of the social media interaction? How do I quantify that?
That's a very good question. And the best way to know is just to ask them. You can just conduct a simple survey, or just ask them, oh, how did you hear about us? And that way you'll know directly from the customer how they heard about you. But you can also set up, depending on what your business model is, but if you are a restaurant, yeah, I would definitely go with surveys. If you are a retailer, you can always use Google Analytics, and you can append different parameters to links so that you can see, okay, this person came from Instagram and went to my website, and then they converted, so they might have purchased something or they signed up to my newsletter, but you'll be able to see exactly from where everyone is coming.
Hashtags. Do you recommend using a hashtag in your actual post or in the comments section?
That question is always. So I've heard different versions. Post it in the comments, post it in the main caption, post 30 hashtags, post 10 hashtags. I really like to post it in the comments because I like the visual aspect of a clear caption. So I usually post it in my first comment. And quick tip for hashtags, I keep a list of different hashtags in my notes because usually I'll post from my either my phone or my computer. So I have a list of hashtags that correspond to different kind of content that I'll post. And then I'll just grab the hashtags and post it right after the post has been put on the platform. But it should be like almost instantly, like a few seconds later.
Right. I'm going to try and tackle two questions at the same time here. Barbara asked about YouTube or Reddit. We didn't really talk about that a lot today, but man, Reddit is just blowing up. And then on top of that, then different demographics and certain platforms. How does a person identify, between them?
So for YouTube and Reddit, it's a really, really good question, and it's not a platform that I use that often. So if it's okay, I'll just do a little bit of research. You can shoot me an email, and I'll respond to you when I have the real information for Reddit. But for YouTube, I know that it's super popular. It's now a search engine. People are using it every day. I practically use it morning, at lunchtime, and at night. If I'm looking to make a pie, I'll look for a YouTube video really quickly, and it's just a really great search engine tool. And what was the second question?
It was around demographics. Are we seeing certain groups, baby boomers, Gen X, Generation Y, millennials versus Facebook versus Instagram? Help us with that.
Yes, so we're seeing most adults go on Facebook, and then millennials will be mainly on Instagram. It's a very, very popular platform for millennials. And then Snapchat, TikTok, those two platforms are super popular with the younger generation. They love quick videos, sharing their experience on the go. It's a really good platform if you're trying to reach those people.
Another good question here. Should customers encourage their employees to use their personal accounts to promote their restaurant?
Okay, that's a really good question. So you could encourage your employee, but the only thing is that you have to remember that your employee also represents your brand. So your brand is not only your brand identity, it's not only your restaurant or your brick and mortar location, it's also a different aspect of what you're offering as a service. So it could be your customer service, your employee, the packaging that you're using, the experience that they're gonna live. So you just wanna make sure that everybody's on the same page. So if you want your employee to use their personal account to do the promotion of your business, that's fine. But the only thing is, I would stress to make sure that they understand what your mission is and just provide a few guidelines on what to post, what to not post, include that in your strategy, and just make sure that everyone is on board with what the purpose of using this platform is.
I feel like we might have covered this already, but it's still in the feed here. Stories versus feed. And we talked to a customer about this a little bit yesterday. I want to get your thoughts on that. What makes it feed worthy versus the stories across the top that last 24 hours?
Feed worthy is something that you plan. So everything that appears in your feed should go with your storyline. If it's not planned, I would recommend putting it in the stories, because again, it disappears after 24 hours, so it won't affect the first impression of someone who goes on your profile. Whereas if you're not planning on making a post and then you take this random picture and it doesn't match with the other pictures on your feed, it might be like, oh, what's happening here, So you just want to make sure everything is just consistent and clean.
Okay. I apologize for the people that I haven't gotten to their questions. We're at time. This has been I thought the last one was amazing. This has probably been the best QA we've ever had. Thanks so much. We want to keep the conversation going. You can reach out to Ketsia directly. I know somebody had just asked again back to the question about the pricing and costs on figuring that out. I recommend you reach out through a Cisco person to either Orderies or to Ketsia and get her to talk with it offline. We don't want to necessarily make recommendations and say who's charging too much or who's not, but yeah, you can have those conversations privately. But man, we cannot thank Ketsia enough for being part of this. You can find her on LinkedIn. You can find her on the feeds that she was at. Thank you to everyone today that joined this call and made the time for us. Make sure you reach back to the post that you'll get after the call for the slides. Just give us some time so Ketsia can finalize her slides and get them over to Jay Ashton to send back to you, or you can reach out to me directly. We've got more webinars coming up. Again, I just can't thank Ketsia enough. Hope we can see that enough from the bottom or tops of our hearts, however you want to say it. This was awesome. Let's keep the conversation going. We have teams everywhere that can help with this, and we'll get you on the path regardless of where you are and keep you moving forward. So this is
thank you so much, Kevin, for having me. This has been amazing. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. And make sure you follow me. You can reach out to me either at heyketsia.com, Facebook/heyketsia, or heyketsia on Instagram. And you can also follow Cisco Canada on Instagram. So should you ever have a question, feel free to reach out to me and let's have this conversation. Let's talk.
And stay tuned. Next speaker, March 27th, the founder of Facebook Canada. So going to be, again, just more great stories from folks. Looking forward to seeing you on the next. We look forward to sharing this webinar with you. Please, if you missed it, tell people it's available. We'll get it to you. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks so much for being part of this.
Bye.
Bye.